Hello, I'm Odin, and this week we're going to go back to the Undercity of Arcane. This week I want to talk about the props that we made specifically for the character Jinx, as well as some of the set pieces and static props that were created for Arcane Enter the Undercity. In my last video, I talked about things that I had made that were handheld and could move around inside the event. In this video, I want to tell you about the things that I made that were more like set pieces or props that pretty much just stay in one place. One important piece is Vander's knuckle dusters that hang in his bar, The Last Drop. Now, if you haven't seen the show, basically these are boxing gloves for a human to be able to fight a robot, basically. When I started creating these, I was told they needed to be made for stunt people to be able to wear and have a choreographed fight with. So I started construction from sheets of what the foam. I got the bottom rings made and got them all detailed when I heard it was decided that these are now just going to hang in the bar like they do in the show. Work was paused on these for a few weeks as everything else was worked on, and when the time came to get them done, Joe took over the final construction while I worked on the shimmer vials and Jinx grenades. Joe continued building with what the foam, adding the supports, the side plates, and even the leather belt inside of them, and that was all with what the foam. There's also a graphite rod in the supports that helps hold the perforated plate that is on the ends. Everything was sanded down and ground down to look dinged up and used. These knuckle dusters have a big role in the very first episode, and they needed to look the part. Joe really enjoyed the break from just painting and getting the chance to work on and finish a prop, which of course included painting them. The painting work was started in my shop, but the final touches were done on site in Los Angeles. Another set piece that was created was Violet's stuffed rabbit, also seen in the first couple of episodes. Vi's rabbit ends up getting tossed into the power lines over the streets of the Undercity, and Secret Cinema needed one for their set. Felicia Callie made a pattern to sew a rabbit from scratch, but on her way to drop the patterns off at my shop, she stumbled across a unicorn stuffy that was so close to her pattern, we just used it as a starting point. And then my friend Ashley took on the challenge of transforming the unicorn into a ragdoll rabbit, still using some of Felicia's patterns. While the rabbit looks exactly the part in the studio, on set it is perfect. And I've seen this little guy on other people's social media with all sorts of sad face emojis. I'm so glad the rabbit is doing his job perfectly. But what we really want to see is the big guns of the show, Jinx's Pow Pow. You get to be part of the escape world, and yes. You are one of the Jinxes?
Yes, one of four.
One of four, so there's four Jinxes, because there's only one in the movie, or in the series,
there's
right?
There's only one in the series, but she, she goes a little crazy, so we need to depict that, right? We need to show her losing her mind, which is what we do. We pop up in all these different places because she's going crazy.
Okay.
Throughout the first and a half of the show, I go by Nova. Nova's got a mohawk.
Oh, right,
yes,
okay.
Yeah, she's pretty badass herself. As Nova, I am recruiting people to be my scrap hackers. So we're on the Scrap Hacker Chem Baron crew. Okay. So as a scrap hacker, we work in bio augmentation, DNA hacking, prosthetics. So you want a new arm made of titanium, I can make that happen for you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, I think a new arm made of titanium would be great.
Yes, great, I'll work on it.
So during the show, you're gonna go from the Mohawk Nova to the pigtailed Jinx and everything else. How quick of a costume change is that, and how many people help you?
10 minutes. So I have a bit of time.
Okay.
And I'm getting into Jinx fully myself, except for this lovely hair. I have a good 2 people helping me with the hair.
Help with the hair.
Yeah.
And is the wig glued on, or is it just...
Nope, we're just pinned in.
Just pinned in?
Yeah, we won't have time to re-glue, because we do the show 3 times a day. So if
right.
we use any glue, that's going to be not
all right.
fun. There's glue all over my face for my face piercings from Nova, but I've already taken them off.
Okay, yeah. Right. That's really cool. 10 minutes is impressive.
It sometimes works. Today we were a little behind, but every show is different. Just depends on when I die. So as Nova, I have a fight with another character named Henot, and he's my business partner, but we don't get along so well.
Okay.
So he punches me down to the death. I die, and I basically get reincarnated as Jinx, I guess.
All right. And then you have a special role that you do because you're not Jinx #1, right? You're not Jinx Prime.
Right. Kit would be Jinx #1, and she's awesome. I come in and I handle the Pow Pow.
Right.
I'm Pow Pow Girl.
Pow Pow Girl, which is cool because myself and Joe got to build the Pow Pow.
That's so cool. You guys really did a really good job with it.
Thank you. I'm kind of curious what it's like to get to play with it because I played with it in the shop, but I don't get to play with it with the CO2 and the lights and.
Oh yeah, it's a fun toy. It's like a really fun toy. It's not a toy. It's a very dangerous machine.
It's a toy.
And it's heavy. It's really heavy too.
Yeah.
You guys weren't playing around with it. Like I really have to use all my muscles to get that thing up. I've never felt so powerful in a show before. There's a special kind of power that comes with being in the world of Arcane. So yeah, thanks to you and all your props. Like seriously, they're amazingly done.
Thank you very much. To make the Pow Pow for the event, we started with an airsoft minigun. You can see it right back here. I'm surprised I didn't grab a better shot of it before everything was changed. The back end was built up first. The purple dome is all 6mm what-the-foam, with a frame of bent aluminum underneath it. I needed a frame because the strap attachment was going to be practical. Now they didn't actually use the strap, but they had the option if they wanted. The original minigun had 4 barrels, as you can see in these video clips that are from the manufacturer of the airsoft gun. But Jinx's Pow Pow has 3 barrels. I made a template of the barrel pattern and cut new spacer discs from 1/2-inch foamed PVC. These were slipped over the 4 barrels, and new PVC pipe barrels were added over and through the new spacers. Now, if you look closely, most of the PVC pipes are cut in half. They'll fit in a smaller circle and hide the 4 barrels better this way. The flash suppressors were all 2-inch ABS pipe. I sanded the sides flat on my belt sander and then angled them to look like the art from the show. There was very little added weight from the new barrel pieces, and it was still able to spin just like it needed to. Now there's an extra pipe just under the 3 barrels. This was added so a CO2 smoke effect could be done to help simulate the minigun just blasting away. It was pretty cool to see Eric here demonstrate just how it looks, but trust me, with all the lights, the sound, and the music, it's awesome to see this happen during the event.
Crazy.
If you were, I know you're an actor and you get to see different things going on with the show. If you were to pick something out of the entire experience that was like your favorite part, you think you could pick something out, even if it's like an idea?
You can answer that question. I think it's the Pow Pow moment,
the Pow Pow moment. All right, because you are the center.
Moment.
Yeah.
I feel really, really cool with that. Like I've never felt so cool in a show, and just to be able to whip this thing out of nowhere, no one expects that I'm going to be blasting them with a machine gun.
Right.
So having them all turn around and see, and like hearing their reaction, I can't really see their faces, but hearing their reaction just gives me all the more motivation to be like, yes, I'm going to blast you.
Right on. I know you want to get out of this. You're done. So thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you, Odin. This was awesome. Thank you for building the coolest Pow Pow I've ever seen and ever held.
Wow.
It's my first Pow Pow.
The Pow Pow I made was not the only one that I got to work with while I was there. The very first thing that I was asked to do when I arrived was some cosplay repair on the all-foam Pow Pow Riot Games had brought for their Undercity Nights tournament. I think this Pow Pow looks great, and I really like the clear, thick, yet flexible sealer that was used on it. Now the repair that was needed was pretty simple. The all-thread rod that was across the top grip had worked its 1/4-20 nuts loose from either side. So I was able to put everything back together and rewrap the handle with some pliers and super glue. Another set of Jinx props that were built was the signal flare, or blue flare, that Jinx uses in the show to call Vi for help. The final version, there was more than one idea on how to make it work, was a collaboration between me and the prop master of the show, Bill Voorhees. Bill's idea was to have a micro-sized fog machine tucked away secretly nearby, which could pump the fog through the flare and out the end. Bill fitted bright blue LEDs inside the foam PVC housings that I made that would then make the fog glow blue as it flowed out of the flare. Now when I made the first prototype one, I tried to fit a vape pen inside of the handle and have a little tiny air blower push air through the pen and out the top. And it worked, but it was not really reliable enough for a long-term show. If they really needed one that was fully self-contained, this would have worked, but Bill's idea of using a fog machine is far more reliable than a vape pen, which has parts that can burn out. One of the smallest details we helped with is this sigil that's on the cover of the journal in Jayce's lab. The book was filled with notes, some taken directly from the show, and the pages were hand-bound in leather. The 3D printed piece was painted separately before we arrived, and it fit perfectly with the colors of the journal. Now, all of these sets, props, and interactivity of the event is nothing short of magical, and there's a full team of people who work hard just to bring them to life every night. And I was able to talk to Heather from Diablo Sound about her role with the Undercity. Would you like to share?
I'm magical.
You are magical.
Very magical.
You are very magical. This is what you do, right?
This is what I do, yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what is it exactly you do?
So technically I'm the project manager for the team that does the sound and all the show control for events like this. So basically how I like to describe it is we create the virtual stage manager. So we have like an internal system where it's like we do have a stage manager, but he's also calling the goes, and so the system sends the go simultaneously to both lights, sound, video, all at the same time, so they can fire effects.
Okay.
And I just manage the team and tell them to go do the thing.
Go do the thing.
Yeah.
Your team is a big part of the HexTec box,
Yes.
right? Making that work.
Yeah,
Which,
yeah.
which as I came in down for this weekend to work, I spent like all Saturday getting that thing put together.
Yeah, yeah, we did.
the physicality of it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there any, aside from me getting my act together, was there any particular challenge with making the HexTec box come to life for the show?
On our end, not really, and not to still say like it was super easy, just that we have a lot of experience working on like the triggering stuff like that. So for us, it's just relays, it's just normal open, normal close stuff, and as soon as they press that button, it's gonna say, hey, the circuit's been closed, fire what I've programmed on the other end.
Okay.
So the actual prop building of it, we didn't really have anything to do with it,
Right.
except for just kind of, oh yeah, these would be the right relays and stuff to kind of make the process work.
I really appreciate that you and one of your guys, Fernando,
Yeah.
came in and helped with getting the wiring put together, because I went with the diagram that I was given, and that didn't work.
Yeah, and that's kind of what a lot of this is like, well, you know, we've done this before, and this is a configuration that worked before, so let's try it this time. And then we came in and found out that it didn't work, so, you know, work together. We're all a team here. It's like we may be different departments, but we're all here to put the show together.
Right, all
so, yeah.
to make this as magical of an experience as you can.
Exactly, yeah.
As immersive as a piece.
Yeah.
Very cool. One of the things I've been asking everyone so far, if you could pick out either an idea or an element, something to the show that's kind of like you could say is your favorite part, is there something you maybe pick out? And it's okay if you can't, I get it, because it's a big thing to ask.
Yeah, of the show here?
Yeah.
Oh man, I actually really love Jinx's hideout.
Yeah.
I like the way that it's painted, the way that it's ran, the gameplay in there I think is a lot of fun. Like that one, I watched that one and I'm just like, if I didn't know the answer, I don't know if it's so well done.
It's really well done.
Probably one of my favorite rooms.
Now, I know it's one of the few rooms that we didn't go into because it's really hard to shoot that room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the place where we are is easy to shoot and easy to work in. The HexTec box is a special prop that was made just for the event. It doesn't appear in the show, and it was designed by Rebecca Brower. I created the computer files in order to cut the parts based off the official drawings that were given to me, and these files were taken to a local CNC and plasma cutting shop. Now, all the wood pieces for the box and the table were cut out on their CNC routing machine, as was all the polycarbonate plastic that we used for the glass. And for the metal, we tried to plasma cut a brass sheet, because the design calls for brass, and the shop actually liked the idea and the challenge of working with a new material. Now, it took a few hours of trying, and we learned just why brass is never cut with a plasma cutting machine. You see, the material is too soft, its melting point is too low, and it warps while it's cut. And then it hits the machine and moves in the cutting bed, ruining the entire pass. And then there's also the toxic gas that's created when vaporizing brass with a plasma beam. So we changed and instead used mild thin steel, which is ideal for plasma cutting. And then we cut away at all the little metal pieces for the box. I had decided that metal was going to be the right choice, as this box was going to be touched by the guests and is an element in one of the escape rooms of the event. And Ron, the plasma cutter,
learned just how detailed and small he could cut designs with his machine. Due to scheduling conflicts and other problems outside of our control, we only had one day to get as much of the box and table constructed as we could. Jesse stained the wood, built the table, and bent the metal corners. I started assembling the box, and Jesse got it finished, including gluing on the metal sides, which were spray painted to look like brass. Joe was busy that day as well. He met up with Sean Cash in the afternoon because by this time, Sean had got the parts he needed to repair his Glowforge. He talked about that experience on his own channel, Try to Finish Something. And he got the rune dials cut out and etched, the ones that we really needed to go around the sides of the box. So thank you so much, Sean, for pulling through at just the right moment. At about 8 o'clock that evening, I found out that the top panels, as cut directly from the plans, were not large enough to close correctly. So even after all the trouble of getting the parts that were cut as perfect as possible, I ended up having to hand cut new panels and making new accent pieces from thin sheets of styrene plastic. But after a crazy 2 days of plasma cutting and building, we got the HexTec box loaded into a car and set on its way to LA so Diablo Sound could start the full install for the piece. Now, once on site, I spent another full day installing mechanisms for the box to operate, finishing the installation of the top panels, which were painted by Rebecca and her crew, and getting some of the final touches made for the box. All the while working around the magic that Diablo Sound stuffed inside. These are the things that would really make the box and the lab come alive for the guests. Working on the Undercity has been a lot of fun, and I know it takes a lot of people to make something this size and this cool happen. But this is how Odin makes. And this time we're back in the Undercity of Arcane. I'm going to talk some more about some other hand props that I made in order to help make the world of in order to, realize that I can always dub this later because I'm wearing a mask and lip sync will always match up. It's going to need adjustment throughout the show to keep the points as close together as possible. So that's like why this one wasn't adjusting as well. Maybe I need to, but that's just all part of making it work, right? So. Oh, that's too much. It doesn't take much to get it out of. Come on. I had to touch it. There we go. Alrighty.
It's been great meeting you.
Thank you.
Yeah, after watching your,
Right.
videos and stuff like that, and then like having someone's like, oh yeah, my friend Odin's coming down. Me going, excuse me, what?
What? Who? Odin.
Yeah, he does Odin Makes. Do you know him? Yes.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's been really nice to meet you.
It's been really good meeting you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Now, I know there's going to be lots of different ways that you can make the arcane world actually work and run, but this is how Heather makes. I want to thank Martin John Madsen, Adam Minchin, Henry Jarvel, and all of my Patreon supporters. Patreon members at the $5 and above level get access to my private Discord, which includes weekly games with me, prop-related chat, and early access to live streams. My Patreon support is the #1 thing that makes this show possible. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe. Have an idea for something for me to make? Please leave a comment below. And if you make any of these projects, you can send me a picture.